The one world family is not a new concept. The concept has been there in the Eastern traditions for a long time. And you would see how over the years it has morphed in some way or the other. And we want to take it back to that root where you see every single person as you would see your family member in the most positive way, right?
I like that when we had a chat about how we're going to do this, what are we going to say, who's going to lead, and you just said we just have to be present and connected, and then
Totally.
everything else just flows.
I think that feels like a very valuable piece of information about our presence in all our gatherings, in every gathering, in every moment. Just really that practice of settling into presence together, because what will emerge from us being in presence together is the gift. It's the miracle. It's the unknown. It's the movement. It's the flow. Let's see. Yeah.
So, on that note of presence, actually, I want to ask you both in simplistic terms, what does presence really mean? Like, there must be like so many
Mm-hmm.
people right now who listen to this. And
Mm-hmm.
in practicality, what does it mean
Mm-hmm.
to be in presence?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I like to share when I'm talking about presence is presence is a relatively new word. Like it's not something that was in our vocabulary 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. And so presence is actually the combination of two words. It's present and it's sensing. And that's what's happening, is coming present to me is being deeply aware of who I am and what's going on in me and what's moving within my own interiority, while also present to you guys and listening, and also present to what we're creating here, the structure and the time and the questions we're talking about. So I'm present to all of that, while at the same time I'm using the other senses, the senses we can't see, and I'm sensing into all of that present awareness. That's what it feels like for me.
To me, it feels like a moment of being aware of what's going on and being here, not elsewhere. So being here, not thinking about things I'm worried about or that I'm supposed to do or that I forgot. Be focused in a sense is also a type of present. I always think about
Mm-hmm.
it's a present, it's a gift.
Yeah, you both talked about the gift part, which I think one of the key, stories behind when Liran and I were ideating about Oka was this concept of gift in two aspects, though. Like one is, gift as something that you give others, but gift also knowing that life itself is a beautiful gift and coming from that place of abundance and acknowledging that we all have our shares of challenges and stuff, but if we really look deep down, we still have plenty, right? Like just having that belief or that faith that yes, I have more than what I need and I can still give with what I have, right? And that was one of it's interesting that you both mentioned gift, because the whole idea for Oka started with what can I give others that would be meaningful? And because giving is the biggest joy, right? Like you experience true joy when you're giving.
On that notion, it's also fun when you're receiving.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of my friends are looking at me as if I'm some sort of a weirdo because, I want to make money off my Airbnb, or why should I be doing this? There's too many things to do. And I don't know, very few people at the moment are buying into it, how I can be in this new thing, in this new culture, or they would say it's a cult, where people actually want to be giving and receiving. But we all want to be doing that. And what's the difference of me paying for the night? This system that we are trying to to create? Why would it work? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's a topic to also discuss.
Well, the idea of giving and receiving puts those two as separate. And I think what is I like to think of as giving is receiving, giving is gifting, giving is a gift to myself. You know, I've lived in intentional community, and you know, somebody might have more money to put into the community at this point than I do, but I am giving in other ways that, you know, and that was a hard thing for me for some time, to be able to think, oh, I don't have enough, or I'm not giving. It came down to financial, but then it was kind of like, it kind of hit me. It was like, actually, this is like a moment of grace, where actually my presence and my being with and what I was offering, you know, to the community was as valuable, you know, as any amount of money. And so that, to me, when we start talking about the generosity as a core value of Oka, it's like there's a lot to learn in that. There's so much in the experience and the practice of that, and I've been through that a lot in my life. So I love that you guys have really put generosity as a core value of Oka.
Yeah, I think that is the key sort of cornerstone value for Oka. And, you know, just to add a little more context, what we are essentially trying to build with Oka is something that we called as the One World family, right? And the One World family is not a new concept. The concept has been there in the Eastern traditions for a long time. And you would see how over the years it has morphed in some way or the other. And we want to take it back to that root where you see every single person as you would see your family member, in the most positive way, right? And if all of us see each other that way, we wouldn't have been dealing with all these tough situations we are facing in the world right now, with wars and this is mine and this is yours and I want more. And all of that is stemming from the fact that we don't recognize that every single individual is my own. And I belong to all of you and you belong to me. Right. And the moment we can address that and acknowledge that, we have a beautiful world. And that's what we are trying to build. And this might sound like a utopian concept, but it is possible. Like right now, also, I am staying at a friend's apartment in Toronto who's not in the city. He left the keys to his place the day before he left at another friend's place who I have never met before. And from the airport, I went there, picked up the key, came here. But there is this trust layer between people also that has somehow been established over time, right? And yes, we call it friendship, we call it whatever, right? Some kind of relationship. But what I'm trying to say is that that can be structured also. And especially in today's time when everybody is so bogged down with AI, and yes, all of that will happen. You know, we're spending so much time talking to AI agents today more than, you know, our partners or, you know, other folks around us. But all of that will happen, like, you know, we like that won't change. But what can change is, like, many of us invest so much time and effort into building structures for finance, structure for a career. So you have a plan how you want to grow your money, how you grow your career, and all of that. And what we think is that the same thing can be done for human connection as well, that we can build a structure where we are able to create a bigger community that we can be part of, both to give and share what we already have, but also to experience support and help when we actually truly need it, right? So that's the theory behind, or the vision behind Oka, is to build this close-knit one world family. No matter where you are in the world, you feel connected, you feel the trust, you feel that, yes, I can count on these people to show up for me when I really need it, right? And with that now comes practicality also, like Liran briefly mentioned a little while ago about, you know, stays and sharing houses and things like that, right? And we are, as we are building out this vision, we are laying the groundwork for two or three different possibilities that could happen to start with, right? And this is us just putting down some path that, hey, here's a possibility that if 100 people, 500 people, 2,000 people come together, here are some things we could do which stems from that nature of abundance or nature of generosity. That, hey, I have an apartment in Vancouver. There is always a spare bedroom in my house. Yes, I could put it up on Airbnb and make money. And yes, you should make money. Money is important. But some days of the year, let's say 30 days of the year, I will open it up for other Oka members who can stay there for free. And what I get in exchange is great company, right? I get to meet another person that's incredible. I learn about their story and their background, and possibly we hit off a new friendship that's going to last for a long time. And, that's one potential experience where these members can share housing with each other or an extra room. Or if you are traveling, you can, like I am in this apartment right now where my friend is traveling. Um, a lot of this exchange could happen. And I've experienced things like this in a smaller group of people. And I think Liran also has experienced that. In fact, the story of Oka came together also because Liran hosted me for free for 2 weeks in Thailand in somebody else's property, not even Liran's. So that's the beauty of it, right? Like I ended up in this eco village that Liran was helping, and they were happy to have me over. And one evening, I helped them out with a little bit of ads and stuff because my background is as a marketer. And not that they expected it, like the exchange was already in place. Like because I was there, I was also grateful to be in such a beautiful property, thanks to Liran and these folks, that I was happy to do it. Like one evening, I spent 2 to 3 hours going through their ads and suggesting improvements and all of that. And that's just one practical example of how this can happen in reality. We also recognize that there are people who might not have like housing to share, but everybody has some skills and some learnings. Like we all go through so many experiences. Somebody could teach language. Like I would love to learn French and I'm trying to do that on Duolingo, but it would be nice to learn with a person face to face or on a video call. And if they're part of the same community, it's even more amazing, right? So many other possibilities can come out of it. We are just starting to scratch the surface with our first few members, 50, 60 odd people who have shown interest and have joined the community. And yeah, we're just starting off now and exploring what this possibility could be.
There's a lot of people are perceiving generosity as weakness, like you're being naive if you're participating in this. And also like there's a limit of how many people I'm going to have come to my home that I don't know and maybe never see again. So the idea of having a structured credit system, if I host somebody, I get a credit and I can use that credit to maybe get an hour of uh, um, a coach or a strategic advisor like Micheline, and that everybody is equal in everybody's hour, or that there is a nice structure around giving and receiving. I find that part fascinating. Maybe circle back a little bit to the journey of how this started, and how we all met. Maybe a quick share about. I was building for over 5 years in Oka Village in Costa Rica. There were a few projects, and there were one big one that failed. I went to a retreat in Northern California, and I experienced a version of the pods. We met for a few hours in the first day, and then for a few hours in the second day. I was with a group with another 3 personas, and there was just a very intimate connection, and it struck me. I wish I would have known about this before, because there was a very deep process. So maybe we could talk a little bit about the pods and why it's the filter to join the community, because at the end of the day, this is not for everyone. There is the vending machine mentality of, I'm going to go swipe my credit card, surrender my details to Airbnb or to get a consultation or whatever that is. And it's just fast and instant, and anybody can show up in the store. And this is very different because we only really want people who could be present, right? So maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
I would say it's like, it's not even, it's like who want to participate in an experiment of culture that's different, that a culture is built on the practice of presence, the culture that's built on generosity, a culture that's built on giving, and culture that's built on deepening into warmth and connection and unity and, you know, these abundance. Like that to me is so exciting. I am, you know, my kids are grown and gone. I'm divorced. I've been living alone for many years. You know, I've had to, and I've lived in community as well, and I've had to learn how to live alone. And it seems too that my community just seems to get smaller and smaller. And so, like, I travel a lot, and actually, when I travel, I meet people and have such deep connections with them. A woman in a grocery store in Singapore invited me over to her house. My daughter and I, we were traveling. And she said, please, please, in her broken English, come, let me cook you a traditional meal. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And so I went over to her house, my daughter and I. She showed us all the spices she uses. Her son was there. We found out she homeschools. I homeschooled my kids. And we're still connected to this day. So it's like that level of connection is what inspires me, because you know, sometimes we struggle in our own families. We don't connect with our own family members. You know, yes, we show up to the meals and we show up to the events, but sometimes it's like we don't feel that connected to our own family. So to find a community where you know, building around these core values, like to me, that is just so exciting. And that's why I, you know, want to step in and participate in this. And, you know, I met Liran because he invited me to stay at his house when I was down in Costa Rica and he wasn't there. And so I stayed and got to know his dog and stayed in a place where I didn't know this. We had one phone call, you know? And so, and we've been connected ever since. So to me, the way that you've set this up to be a part of this kind of community of Oka by starting with the pods, because it always begins with a conversation. It always begins with a willingness to come together, to invest our time, to invest our generosity of sharing of ourselves. Because I mean, we all have such beautiful journeys and interests and expertise and wisdom and knowledge and stories. And it's so, humans are just so fascinating to me. um, and so the way that you set this up with the pods, I think, is the way in to coming to Oka and being a part of this community, this world, one world family. And so this is what I feel is so unique about Oka.
I think that's a good segue to talk a little bit more about the pods, right? We've been talking about how, you know, this intentional community we're trying to build, and generosity is important, presence is important. And you both talked about pods. So pods is a unique experience that we are offering to members at Oka, and that's actually our entry point. And I would love to hear from both of you because I think there's also different perspectives. And Liran, as one of the co-founders of Oka, what are your thoughts about the pods? What are they? Why is that an important piece of the puzzle? And then Micheline, you've done the pods yourself. And, you know, coincidentally, both of us did our pods together, which is awesome. But now you're also a facilitator with Oka, and you are now facilitating pods for other members. So I would love to hear the different perspectives from both of you.
I get to share my experience with the pods. You know, obviously I'm a facilitator, a coach, and I've facilitated groups. So I'm quite comfortable coming into group settings and opening and being warm and connecting and sharing. And that's new for a lot of people. But what I would say is the way that Liran holds the space and is a participant, and the questions and the time and the space that is given for each participant to share, you know, to share a slice of who they are. And then as, it's 3 sessions, and I think that's an important part, that it's 3 sessions, because with each session, it's kind of like, "Ooh, and another layer of the onion is peeled." We humans are quite well protected and armored, and, we wear our masks and we do all of that throughout our normal day. But this is inviting us to slowly, remove some of that and just show up, vulnerable and natural and with warmth and connection. I can say that for me, such a surprise, and it was the delight that I felt. I mean, connecting with you and the other participants, there was a lot of love and genuine care. And so to me, that's the entry point to coming in to Oka, because it's a way of knowing that we've all been through these pods. We all have common language. We all know how to connect in this way and share in this way. And we're really talking about some of our core shared values and how amazing it is that all around the world, we kind of all share these core shared values.
Yeah, I think, for me, when I dream about, you know, Oka was a success, like that's exactly what I want to see is like no matter where I love to travel, and no matter where I go in the world, I should feel like this city. Yes, we have like I can go meet 3 people for dinner tonight who share the same core values,
Mm-hmm.
who would be excited to meet me, even if I have never met them before. Like
Yeah.
the fact that, all these experiences with the pods and the trust and the deep connection we build in the
Mm-hmm.
process creates that sort of joy that, yeah, this person is here in my city. I want to go meet them
Mm-hmm.
and host them
Mm-hmm.
and so on, right? But tell me this, right? I get this also from some of my friends who've also I've been talking to about the pods and our program. One of the things that comes up is how are people feeling all this joy and deep connection and whatever in 2 or 3 sessions, right? How is this happening?
Mm-hmm. What I can say about this experience, and this is also part of my work in the world. So I just want to acknowledge that, like, I'm not a complete newbie to this world, but what I talk about a lot is our courage as humans to open and to connect and to share actually comes more alive when we're connecting. So I always say courage is found in the connection. So when we start a pod off, everybody's a little bit like, okay, sure, I'll share about myself and this is what I do. And it feels, perfunctory and the way we show up in life sometimes. But yet, as somebody starts to open a little bit, then that gives somebody else permission to open a little bit. And that invites somebody else to share something else. And as this courage starts to come alive from each person, we recognize that that's how the connection deepens, is when we all are willing to slowly kind of like take off the mask or take off that layer of the onion. And all of a sudden it's like, my gosh, we all are living these amazing journeys with lots of struggle and lots of strife, but at the core, we have these really deep shared values.
That's beautiful. That's a great way to put
Mm.
it. And especially, I asked you this also because, like, you've been doing facilitation and coaching work for your entire career, right? And
Mhm.
many people initially, of course, have this sort of doubt or a skepticism. How can this
Mhm.
be so effective? Like myself, like as a career, I am an entrepreneur and a marketer, but also I'm a yoga teacher, meditation instructor, a breathwork instructor with the Art of Living Foundation. And like even that foundation and the breathwork practice has been around for more than 40 years. Tons of medical research in the Harvard Medical Research, Stanford, whatever, proving how scientifically also this breath work helps generate new cells or build immunity or calm your mind down and so on. But even then, it's like many a times I face this thing is, how can this happen in 3 days? How can it change my life in 3 days? And it's amazing how you put it is also like there are some things I think you just have to experience also. Like
Mhm.
I tell a lot of people who I know well, at least I tell them like sometimes just allow for a little bit of magic to happen. Like some
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
have to be experienced to know, like,
Mhm.
yes, this is what it is. Like, and now I feel it. And you mentioned something like day one or the first session of the pod. I also remember myself when I did it, it was like, okay, yeah, we'll join, we'll talk about each other, whatever. And then as it starts getting deeper, you start realizing, okay, I'm able to notice the shifts that it is creating in me as I share, but also as I receive, like as I'm listening and being present to what others are sharing without creating any judgments, of course. And like it's helping me understand them, but more importantly, it's also helping me understand myself. So I also tell like the pods, of course, create connection between the group, but I think it's a beautiful way to also get to know yourself a little bit better. And the connection and the trust and that of course happens over the few sessions that we do, but I feel like a lot of things that tend to be trapped in some corners of our mind and heart also somehow find their way into that conversation, which is beautiful because it happens naturally. And thanks to facilitators like you and Liran as well, that make it easy for people to experience that and share that out, because it's not easy. It's not easy to share the vulnerabilities. It's not easy to share the good stuff also, but many people hesitate with that as well, but especially the more vulnerable parts.
There is a sense of a universal truth, I think, that happens to everybody in this. And when I was younger, in my 20s, I had some sessions when I went to a psychologist, and a lot of things were just not coming out. I couldn't focus. Something when you're with other people that you don't know, when you're already, you're in a container, it's a trusting environment, that there's no judgment. That happens when you're being prompted to share something. So, because it's harder to get things out of yourself sometimes, but something by listening to others and then having the prompt to reflect or what resonated, and doing this in a systematic way, it definitely creates a certain magic. And like, of course, it's one of those things that the truth is in the experience. It, it's important to give it a shot. When some people that I've been talking with are like, why should I pay to do this? You want me to do this? Why should I pay? And we've had a few conversations about that. And so far, there's been 100% success with how people feel when they finish the 3 sessions. Like, all we received was a unification. This was amazing. So I don't want to like sell this too much, but why should I pay for this? And we said, we're going to give you your money back, no questions asked, if you feel like you didn't receive value from this at the end. And we've never asked for a refund, which is also great. I did notice many times that, occasionally there's a person in the group who just can't hold it together. It just can't focus, or even that we say, this is a container, you must be in front of in a quiet room, not with your phone, bigger screen, present, prepare for this. And you have to commit for the 3 sessions. And yet sometimes, every now and then, the person doesn't, they choose to go somewhere else, or they just don't pay. And I usually trust those people a bit less, to be honest. If you committed for 3 sessions to do this, and this is for you, right? So the relationships that I've seen developing with the pods, with people, is that people always find, when we know each other better, then there is a little bit more trust. But the sensation of, let's do this for the sake of being in a bigger community, where I know all these people who have come to that, I know, at least committed, show that they're flexible, that they can be in a container, that they can deeply listen to one another, that they can focus, and that they can do this. That by itself, I feel more safe when I know that people have been able to at least, be vulnerable, share, listen to each other. This by itself really, really works. So, but yeah, I think we're always going to have a lot of people that are skeptical around this process. And um, this process, at the end of the day, is a filter that we created. So not anybody would just come with their credit card and be like, okay, I'm gonna come here to stay here. And I think that if you're somebody looking for a fast transaction, or if you get value or out of this, you're not going to spend 6-7 hours doing this deep work. And in other words, for the pod is work. It's work. It's not necessarily something fun. I always describe it as you start like saying things from your mind, but at one point you start feeling more into your heart. And so that is very and people that
You know,
I've yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, please finish.
People were telling me, uh, it's amazing you're taking so much time to do this with people. They're like, you're taking all these hours to do this very, very slowly, like in this slow process. And I think that something that's really missing is slowness in our lives. And when me and Panda started talking about Oka, he mentioned the concept slow travel. So we had all these ideas through this, go into a community, you join a community, a physical community, or you go into somebody's house, or you exchange service, but you know you're going to find a certain slowness into the people that are doing this. And slowness, and maybe in another word, is also presence, because when you're too fast and you're everywhere, you can't really be that focused. So anyway, just to know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I just want to say it's really it is a no risk offer, right? Because you guys have said, like, if this did not provide you value, you can have your money back. So it's really a no risk value, no risk offer, because we can't sit here and guarantee your life is going to be changed. That's not what we're saying at all. It's just that the people who have come through, which is about 60 or 70 people, I think, about now, is that we've had 100% people say, yeah, this was amazing. This was fantastic. I really appreciate this process, and it's changed something in me. And so I just want to a little bit normalize people who have a hard time to come into the container, because our world is so fast. It's just so fast. And to just sit still for 2 hours is hard for a lot of people. To not be on their phone for 2 hours, that's really hard for a lot of people. And that's not wrong or bad. It's just something that, we're working to practice to let go of. Because I know that we have this epidemic of loneliness in the world. And how come I have, 50 friends, but, I can't seem to feel connected to anybody? Or, I say this to parents a lot, like I have thousands of pictures, multiple thousands of pictures of my kids on my phone, but do I actually feel like I'm really connected and I know my kids, right? So there's something that we're all seeking, and it's a slowness, it's a connection, it's a depth, and I love that you guys have come together and say, hey, we want to try something here. We want to offer something that could create a culture, create a community, create a one world family where actually these values are at the center of it. And this is your way in. Come and try it. And if it's not for you, no worries, no problem. We're happy that you tried. We're happy that you, had the courage to step in.
Absolutely. And I think that is what is the key thing we try to communicate to everyone. Like, this may be for you, this may not be for you, and that's perfectly fine. And, our success rate with the pods has also, of course, given us the confidence that yes, we can say, like, if you don't feel it provided value, you can have your money back, no questions asked. Because that's also a good way for us to know that whether somebody's invested in this community. Because communities are built over time and it's a slow process and it requires a lot of work from every single member to keep it together and to also make sure that everybody is having a positive, good time being part of this community, right? And Liran mentioned a little bit about being slow. We tend to chase so many things, and that will happen. Like as we go out into the world and do our work, it is natural to get into the hustle bustle of things, but knowing that there is this space for me where I can genuinely slow down, even if that means it's an hour or two a day or 7 days in a quarter or in a year, like I have this space where I can go and just truly slow down and relax and connect with others that I know, even if I've not met them frequently, I know that they care about the same thing, that they would provide a space that would help me slow down and feel safe and, relax. Um, and that's the idea behind Oka. And in fact, like, I'll just say this for myself. I feel like the big dream come true moment would be like a few years later, even if whether Liran and I are, actively part of this or not, like the community still thrives, right? It's not something just Liran and I are building. Yes, we're trying to put the structure for that. But the beautiful moment would be when many people like you, Micheline, also, and with 50, 60 other people who've recognize what we are doing, also start feeling that this is my community. Like, I want to make it grow. I want to bring in 5 other people who I know would be great for this community. They would bring in more skills. They would bring in good attitude. They would bring in, all these things that we need. So that while we also have our independent lives, doing whatever we are doing in whatever part of the world, we also have this beautiful trusted feeling that I have a connection to fall back on whenever. Like, so this feeling of isolation, we want to get rid of that. Like, nobody at least should think that I don't have anybody to fall back on or help me support when I need it or whatever. So that's the idea. Irrespective of whether Liran and I are around, we want everybody in this community to feel like it's my community, and I want to grow this and nurture it to be something meaningful.
When I was living in Costa Rica, in the village where I was, there was this group called Helping with Love. And basically it was this group that you could, because we live in a village out in the jungle, like if we need help, that's our place where we would go, right? But most people that were there, I think they wouldn't feel comfortable asking for help. And it wasn't like there was a deep connection between anybody there. But that group we're all living here, and the group was called Helping with Love. So it was all about that. And uh, I find that very inspiring if I could also know that the people behind the group are not just people who live there randomly, but people who chose intentionally to be there. So if I'm going to have a flat tire at 2 a.m. specifically, I think I only replaced a flat tire once when I was 20 years ago. And or if I would need some help, I would have people, because I have so many people on my phone. Like I have, these connections on LinkedIn, on Facebook, whatever. We know so many people. We have so many connections, more than we could even remember to be in touch with. But who can we really ask for help when we need it? So I envision it not just traveling for free with family, which is also amazing, but actually being able to know that that I'm received as family, that there is people that are dedicated to this cause of community that is really out there to help each other and grow. And that excites me as a potential outcome of Oka in the future.
I want to share a little story around that, Liran, because when I was staying at your house, you had connected with me with one of your community members, and I was down in the town, and it had been raining so hard that I knew I wasn't going to be able to cross the river going back, or I didn't want to take the chance of crossing through the river. And the woman that you connected to me, she instantly, I texted her, and she said, like, I was in, a country by myself. I was driving a rental car. I didn't know, how do I get back up to your house in the jungle? And right away, she sent me a map. She showed me the back way in. She set it up for me to go through this other property. She sent me the code to get in the gate. It was like, thank goodness. Like, thank goodness that you had that community there, because I don't know, I would have been sleeping in my car down in the town or something. Another story when you were talking, Panda, I was thinking of, I was in Brazil, and I was down there for a workshop, and one of the women who was in the workshop, she was going to house me in her seaside town afterwards. So I didn't have any plans to get a hotel or anything like that. And I started making my way up to her seaside town, and she called me and she said she had COVID and she was really sick and she couldn't house me. And so all of a sudden I was in Rio de Janeiro, and I was like, wow, okay, now what, right? And it would have been just so beautiful to be able to get on a nap and say, hey, who's here? Who could I stay with? Who could have dinner with me? Who could show me around? Who could tell me where to go? You know, like something like that. Because I think a lot of people love the idea of travel, but we recognize that if we're lonely at home, it also can be lonely traveling, you know, especially more and more people who are traveling alone. I know there's a couple of really great Facebook groups that I get on, Girls Love Travel and Women Over 50 who travel alone. And that's a place to get resources. But it really would be so lovely to just know that, you know, the Oka Village is all around. It's a one world family. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that is the idea. And the interesting part, both of you mentioned something which was like, it's interestingly, from all the members we have today, we are also seeing that none of them are actually like seeking like free travel or a budget travel.
Mm-mm.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
said
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of this conversation, also, like that is one of the possible exchanges we are thinking when a group of people come together, right? What are the things we can do together? Yeah, sure. I have extra space in my house. Come stay for a few days. But the folks who are part of Oka are fairly successful in their own lives and their own careers, and they have their own things going on. They really don't need free stay. So the incentive isn't really free. The fact that the stay is free, it's like, sure, an icing on the cake. But the real incentive is that opportunity for connection with another human and to really get to know each other. And I think that's something that all of our members have shared is like very valuable to them, that people that they connect with online, and we are facilitating that through all these pods that are happening online, and you start making friends in different parts of the world. And then as you travel, you get a chance to meet and spend time with so many of them in person, which is what continues to deepen that relationship. And maybe somebody introduced you to somebody else in the Oka community, and all of that is possibilities. And we're so excited to be building this with this incredible group of early adopters, but also everybody else who's excited about this mission. And yeah, we want to see an Oka member in every city, in every part of the world, every corner of the world. There has to be an Oka member ready to, open up their doors and their hearts to many other people.
It just happened that this week I have guests here at my home here in Thailand, and they're also building a little community in the north of Thailand in an area called Pai. So it's a couple, and the lady, she was leaving notes in the house. Of like saying thank you or different things. They left a note with some fruit. And and there's one of the things that we've envisioned from the very beginning was like to create a methodology that encourages people to show up with nice gestures for another. Because when you host somebody, it's also nice that they do things for you. So I'm excited about having the ability to meet new people that are coming to my home, but also receiving nice things from them. This week have proved to be very interesting with the current people. I just love hosting. I know when I go travel, I don't like the sensation of checking into a hotel room. That's very transactional. You get this cold AC and a room that may be furnished but feels empty. And I think everybody feels that when they check into a hotel. And then when Airbnb started, people were hosting or we're having each other, but that kind of became scalable. It scaled, it became different, and now you also book, and then usually there's many times a property manager who's not on top of their job, and some things don't work, and you're like, I paid for this. I find that to happen more often when you travel in places like Asia or Latin America more than maybe in the North America. But the idea of being received and also bringing nice things of value. One of the things that I'm hopeful we'll build are very intentional profiles for the people that are part of this. I'm also excited about the journey that people will have together, because we are planning to create events in different places and invite the community, and also continue and deepen with more workshops. So I'd love to ask you, Micheline, if you could share a little bit about the second workshop, which we're now experimenting with, that you created. So maybe just to say this, when I started with the pods, I was hopeful that people who would get first to know each other will eventually want to join a physical community that we'll build together. And while something like that is happening in Costa Rica, the global vision of people who are wanting to show up in a different way and wanting to be in a community that they feel a real trust with, that is based on values of generosity and mutual care. This these are big words, but how do you really create that? And I think most people are skeptical. How are you guys going to do this? And when we started experimenting with the new workshop that Micheline created, I was in tears more than a couple of times during the sessions. And so maybe talking about how to continue to bring value
Nope.
through meaningful workshops.
I'm glad you brought it up, only because I did want to share that, there has been a group of people within Oka who have committed to actually buying land and building homes together, and now forming an intentional community, and stewarding land together. And like that's just so extraordinarily beautiful to me. I'm in awe of it, and I love it. And now their work together is deepening because they are now meeting on a regular basis and have big decisions to make, and they're already starting to form their community. And so this is where we started talking about Pods 2.0, because now it's the work continues to deepen, right? If we don't pay attention to our own experiences from communities in the past, or our own families for that matter. I know we love this word, the one world family. We also have to remember that we come each with our own kind of family, culture, and we each come from our own different community cultures that we've been involved. And those cultures have some baggage with them and some transactional experiences, or, actually being kicked out of communities, which I have personally experienced myself, which was very traumatic for me to be like, what the heck? How did this happen? And so there's a lot of learning in being able to come together and say, okay, we want to build a community, but we really want to be building it on a different set of values, one that we're all agreeing to, one that we're all willing to practice. And therefore, there is some learning in that. And so that's really what Pods 2.0 are about. It's really about, like, how do we bloom the heart of this community, right? We all can come in with our minds and go, okay, decisions and movement and actions, and take all these steps. But if we're not also nurturing and stewarding the heart space and the heart center of this community, we all know organically it won't grow. It will wither. It will die. It will take one big argument and people will be scattering in different directions. And so this is what Pods 2.0 is about as of right now for this group that are moving forward in building a community, an intentional community together in Costa Rica. So I was just looking at the time,
Yes.
and I wanted to ask kind of one last question. If we could each just go around and say, what does Oka mean to you?
For me, it means possibilities for a more connected life with quality of relationships between people, and being able to move in the world knowing that there is an extended family help you when you need, and to create more joy by giving in also a way that is structured.
Yeah, to me, also, Oka is exactly what we want it to be, a one world family, where we are each person experiences this deep sense of trust and connection, but also gratitude, right? That we are part of something bigger. And when we think beyond ourselves, that's when, like, the world starts to look more beautiful, when we are more focused on what I need and this is what I want and whatever, it starts getting more challenging. And so that's what I see Oka as, like this bigger world perspective of trying to build this one world family. How about you, Micheline? What is Oka to you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a lover of the epistemology of words. Like I want to know what words mean. Like courage, I think now we all know comes from the word heart, right? So courage is about heart. And in Canada, there is a First Nations community called the Oka community, which there's a story there. I won't share about that right now. So I looked up the word Oka, and it actually means water in indigenous language. And so when I think about water, water is life, right? We are all born in a bubble of water, and water is always flowing and it's always moving, and it's what nourishes us all. It's what connects us all. It's what our beautiful planet is made out of. And so when I think about Oka, I'm feeling into the essence of water and flow and connection and nourishment. And so that's really what I see is being created here.
That is a beautiful way to put it, Micheline. And I think that's also a beautiful reminder to everybody who is also connected and listening to this, that no matter what is happening, we'll keep flowing through life like water. And we're trying to build something similar with Oka. And yeah, no matter what's happening around you right now, everything's going to be Oka. So on that note, we will keep doing this. We will keep meeting every couple of weeks, and we want to see more of you join in as well, and join in on the conversations and add your comments and your questions. And we would love to talk more about this big dream that we are trying to build together.
Look forward to meeting you. Thanks, guys. This has been such a joy.
This is amazing.
Thank you for your time.